Those who are successful started with a passionate idea and an obsession to see it succeed. Unknown. Talking about turning lemons into lemonade, to go from a flooded house through a pandemic to a thriving six-figure business, my guest story today will leave you inspired and ready to take the leap. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over seven figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. This episode is brought to you by Zeus's Closet, your go-to destination for custom embroidered and screen printed clothing. Whether you're a business, fraternity, sorority, or part of the movie and TV industry, Zeus's Closet has got you covered. Imagine a tattoo shop for your clothes where your wildest branding dreams come to life. With lightning fast rush options, you can get embroidered items the same or next day. Unleash your creativity and make a statement. Visit Zeus'sCloset.com today and experience the power of customization. Since I can remember, I have always loved houses. I love everything about them, from the different styles, mid-century modern, traditional, contemporary. They're all so beautiful. I love home decor, and going to home shows and on-home tours some years ago was truly one of my favorite pastimes. In addition to us currently remodeling 2 bathrooms in our house, to say that I was excited to have this conversation today is really an understatement. I am chatting with Katie Hilburn, a self-taught interior designer and mom of 2 small kids. Somewhat of an accidental entrepreneur, Katie has grown her COVID business into over 6 figures and employs a team of 5, including herself. From quickly learning to navigate the world of contracts, contractors, payroll, team building, and so much more, I am excited to share our conversation. This is an episode that really displays how your passion can truly become your career and even your business. Hi, Katie. It's so great to have you on the podcast today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
It is exciting. And I am so thrilled to have you because I love houses. I love interiors. I love furniture. I love all things houses. And interior design is just amazing. I cannot wait to chat with you about your business. But first, just tell me, how did you decide to jump into interior design? What problem were you trying to solve?
Yes, I always joke with people when I'm telling them the story of starting my business that it's the business that I didn't know I was starting, which is, not necessarily something that I would recommend for most business owners. But long story short, my husband and I, we live in Houston. And I don't know if you remember in 2017, we had a really big Hurricane Harvey. And my husband and I had just purchased our second home. We moved in. We were so excited. And it was in an area of Houston that was prone to flooding, but our street had never flooded. We were very confident that we would, make it through the storm. And, it's kind of easy to figure out what happened next. We flooded in the hurricane, and we found ourselves in the situation of needing to remodel a home. And because the entire major city had just been hit by a hurricane, there wasn't a lot of general contractors available. It was very difficult to navigate this process. And so we kind of just said, let's jump in and do it ourselves. And so we essentially I did the design, and my husband kind of acted as our general contractor and managed the construction process. And we lived in the home while we were doing it. I literally dove headfirst into this project. And through the process, I kind of documented all of that on social media and really enjoyed the process. I mean, it was very difficult on our marriage. That's a story for another podcast, but, really enjoyed the process. And people would come to our house throughout and then afterward once it was done and tell me like, oh, you have such a eye for this. And I did feel like I had a passion for it, but I never felt like anyone would ever want to hire me to do that for their home. So that happened. And that kind of got my wheels turning and just kind of planted the seed in my mind of what if. And then fast forward a few years to COVID, I at the time was a stay-at-home mom with my oldest son, who's now almost 4. And that same kind of seed was growing of what if I did this? And I knew it was a passion. You know, if you looked at my Instagram and my screenshots on my phone, it was all design, like screenshots and the people I was following. And I was really kind of paying closer attention in that time to the design world. And I just had this feeling of what would happen if I did it. And I, like I said, stay-at-home mom, I thought that it would just be kind of like a side gig. And we joked, we said, you know, if I could just bring in enough money for date nights and for some fun travel, that would be great. It is a business I didn't know I was starting because immediately it just kind of flourished. Personally, there wasn't a lot of planning on my end. Kind of had to like work backwards from after the launch. But technically for my clients, when we're thinking kind of what I was trying to create, if we're like looking at my business on paper, I just wanted to be the person that could walk someone through that process that I had been through and kind of navigate it all on my own because it is so overwhelming. I thought I would design for friends and family for a long time. I thought it would just be kind of, like I said, really small level. And I wanted to partner with homeowners who were wanting to have beautiful homes, functional homes, homes that made them feel really joyful and just kind of support others in doing that because it did feel like a passion. And like I said, I didn't know I was actually starting a business at the time. But yeah, I feel really passionately that design should be for everyone. That was kind of my goal was, okay, can I follow this passion of mine and can I help bring beautiful design to other people, which I think is the goal of every interior designer.
Yeah, for sure. Now you've been in this since 2020 where you fell into this business, which I love when people fall into businesses. It's so cool, especially when you can continue to parlay that into something. And now you have what, 5 team members or so?
Yeah. So yeah, we have 4 now, 2 others who are full-time. And then we have a part-time technical designer who's amazing. And then we also kind of bring in other team members as needed, contractors.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Being that you now being in it 3 years and you look back, first, let's start positive. What has been your biggest win?
Oh man, having a team is without a doubt. I mean, I feel like I'm going to get emotional talking about it. Like I said, I didn't know that I was starting on this endeavor. I thought it would be, you know, working during my son's nap times and after bed and just, you know, very small. I thought I would help like 3 people a year. And I think now someone asked me last weekend how many clients we've helped total. And I think it's been over 100 who have participated in any of our offerings in 3 years. But I did not ever dream that I would have employees or run payroll or do any of those things. And so while that has been a very overwhelming, you know, journey to go on, the fact that I can employ people who are incredible, both team members and humans, they're amazing. And I can not only support my own family, but I can contribute to supporting other families is such a pinch me feeling. And honestly, my team members are my friends. Sometimes I laugh. I'm like, are they my only friends? But I talk to them every day. Like we are on, you know, text and Slack and FaceTime. And after this, I'm going to go meet at a coffee shop with one of them. And it's really joyful to be with them and around them and work with them and collaborate with them. And I'm really grateful. I don't think that I would have made it this far without the support of my team. That has been a huge win, I feel, to not only successfully be in business for 3 years, but also have people that I've been able to hire.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Speaking of your team, when did you decide I need some additional help?
Yes, that's such a great kind of crossroads that I reached. I felt like at the year mark, COVID was still kind of hot and heavy. It was 2021, the fall of 2021. So the world was kind of starting to open up again. My business was super busy. And I remember actually listening to a podcast that said, this business can't be treated like a hobby. So you either have to go all in or you have to keep it a hobby that's very small and you have to be okay with that. And I felt like I was at that crossroads of, okay, am I going to stick with the original intention, which was stay at home mom, part-time job, following a passion, but it's going to be, not the main priority in my life. And not that my kids aren't, they absolutely still are, but, or am I going to dive into this and hire someone? Because that is very, daunting, and it's a big deal to be responsible for other people's lives. And which path am I going to take? And I had a friend, Sarah, who was my first employee, who is still on our team, who's incredible. She's our lead designer. She was a friend of mine before becoming an employee. And she slid into my DMs on Instagram and was like, hey, if you ever need a sidekick, let me know. And I was like, yes, if it's you, absolutely. And I was also kind of feeling that way of I'm going to need some help if this is going to be sustainable. So it was right around that time. And we brought on Sarah, and then we brought on another contract designer at the same time. And that was kind of where it really took a turn to being a legit business.
Legit business.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Did you work your way backwards as far as the legal stuff? Because I know sometimes people are like, well, I want to start a business and I've got to check all these boxes first. Did you just go out there and do it first and then you figure that part out later?
Totally. It's almost embarrassing to think about the way that I launched the business. I did not have a business bank account. The very first thing I did was bought a website domain and post on Instagram. I didn't have an LLC. I did not have a contract for my clients. I typed one up kind of willy-nilly. Yes, I absolutely had to reverse engineer that and kind of work backwards to say, oops, I've been using my personal credit card. Like, now what do I do? And okay, I need a contract. Now what do I do? And kind of working backwards from there, which honestly is not what I would recommend to any potential business owner and operating that way. But looking back now, I am such a perfectionist. I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram, but I'm an Enneagram 1, which is the rule follower, the perfectionist, I have to check every box and it has to look a certain way for it to be right. And honestly, I don't know if I knew now what I know about owning a business and everything that it entails and all of the things that I would need to have tackled and prepped and planned and designed ahead of time, I don't know that it would have happened. I think I would have second guessed myself so much. While I don't recommend starting a business with your personal bank account, I think I needed to be thrown into the deep end and forced to learn how to swim in some ways, because I think I would have just, like I said, I never thought anyone would want to hire me. I didn't have pricing. I didn't even have the website built out. I just had a domain, and then I changed my personal Instagram to my business Instagram.
Yeah.
But yes, I've had to kind of learn some lessons the hard way when it comes to contracts and taxes and legal requirements and what it takes to operate a business and financials and all of that.
Yeah. But you know what? I think you make a valid point in that had you known all of that in advance, you may not have done it. You may have been, or just kind of stuck longer. You went with the business part of it and then you figure the rest of it out later. And I often recommend that people don't put a whole lot of money up front to do the business bank account and do all of these things. I mean, you definitely want to do that once you see that you have a viable business and that people are going to actually purchase your services or your product, then it's important that you set that up. But sometimes people spend so much time setting all that stuff up, but they haven't even proven the market yet. Yeah. So I do think that you proved that there was a market for your business, which is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You can just get started. Just
exactly. Just do it. What has been your biggest challenge in the past 3 years?
Yeah. I think kind of on that same note of hiring and growing my team has been scaling, because right at that year mark, when I hired Sarah, I also became pregnant with our second son. And pregnancy, again, this is a topic for another podcast, but pregnancy is not kind to me. I'm not a glowing pregnant woman. I'm very, very sick. It's like I have to go to the hospital and receive treatment for how sick I get. And that was really a huge challenge. I feel like year 2 of the business, I kind of just blacked out and just was running on fumes. And then navigating, now Henry, our youngest, is 16 months. So navigating the postpartum world for the second time and being a business owner and kind of figuring out, okay, how do I manage these two identities of business owner and mom and new mom for the second time? I think scaling both from a business standpoint and a family standpoint has been really challenging. And I think because I kind of dove into the business without that plan, I didn't have the vision for what it would look like when I needed to expand my team. And, my role has shifted so much from designer, and I still get to design, but now I'm manager and employer, and I need to delegate and I need to manage that delegation and I need to vision cast and I need to run payroll and figuring out what that looks like and how many people we can have on our team, both from a financial standpoint and a project load standpoint, because I feel like I have run into, we need help. We need additional support from other team members. But then I feel like design is such a roller coaster of like, we will have a lot of projects all at once, and then our project load will shift, or we'll have a lot of remodels. So we need a certain type of technical designer on our team. And then we'll shift to a lot of furnishing projects. And so just balancing that projection and what our team is going to look like in a year from now. Because when your business is so new, it looks different quarter to quarter, 6 months to 6 months, year over year, especially when you're also managing a growing family. So I feel like just scaling, every definition of the word has been a big challenge of how to navigate that and what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, that can definitely be challenging. I kind of want to go like in two directions of this conversation because I had a business before I had both my kids and bringing, one kid into the mix and then another kid, it definitely is a roller coaster. Let me ask you, I love the word mompreneur. Some people are like, well, why do we have to be different from an entrepreneur? I'm like, a mompreneur is a whole different thing because we are juggling way more than just an entrepreneur. What does that look like for you on a daily basis with such little ones?
Yes. Yeah. So my oldest will be 4 in the fall and my youngest is 16 months. So we are totally in the thick of it with toddlerhood. And we're also having the conversation of, do we want to have a third, or is the business our third child? But I'm very blessed in that my husband is also, I don't know that I would call him a business owner, but he started a church. So he has that entrepreneurial spirit. He's a starter. He's the achiever. He has that same mindset. And he also has the flexibility of owning a business, even though it's not a business he owns. We are very blessed in that way that we both have a lot of flexibility. My parents are also right around the corner from us. So they keep our youngest 4 days a week. And so anytime I have these conversations where I'm addressing being a mom and a business owner, I have to acknowledge that we are blessed in that way, that I have a very available and present husband. And then I have really great childcare because without those things, I don't think I would be here. But really, I think, and this is, I think, a good lesson for any business owner, but systematizing everything has been what I've had to do, right? So I have, from the moment I wake up at 5:15 to when I go to bed, I feel like I have mapped out my day, and it doesn't always look the same. And flexibility is the name of the game, but I have a calendar for every aspect of our life. I know what I'm going to make for dinner like 3 weeks from now, right? Because that's just how my brain has to work. And I have to set myself up for success in that way. But yeah, I think it's like structure mixed with the perfect balance of flexibility is what it looks like. And I think honestly, that's one of my favorite parts about being a business owner is just that a mompreneur is that I am afforded the flexibility of being a mom, right? So when I started the business, my goal was for this to be on the side, and that goal has changed definitely. But being a mom is still absolutely, my top priority and a huge part of my identity. Just being able to do, like yesterday, I told my husband, I was like, I kind of want to do school pickup today. Like that wasn't our plan, but I can stop working at 3:00 and go pick up my son and surprise him at school to pick him up. And I know that's going to change only as they get bigger. We've not yet entered, I'm sure this is where you are currently navigating the world of organized activities and sports and extracurriculars and after school things. I'm excited to be able to set up our life in a way that supports that in the future too.
Yeah.
But it is hectic.
I just want to say I admire the fact that you know what you're going to cook 3 weeks from now, because I don't know what I'm cooking today. Like,
I
what's
have
for
a
dinner
binder.
today?
Yeah.
I have no idea what we're having for dinner today,
But
it's
I have
also,
to, or we wouldn't eat anything.
I hear you. Yeah, I am. Yeah, that is so good. I'm much better during the school year, though. I will say I'm much better during the school year. During the summer months, though, we're kind of like, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants
it's
around
like, have
here.
You opened the freezer? There's something in there for you.
There's something in there. Exactly. My son could eat pizza every day. As long as I have like a frozen pizza from Costco in there or something, he's like, I'm good. I'm taken care of. And my daughter, her biggest thing is just making sure we have something green with whatever we're eating.
Good for her.
So as long as I have broccoli and or cucumbers, they are both very happy.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
2 green things that actually don't go that well on pizza.
Exactly.
If they did, that would be like even easier.
Even easier. True. But no, I do love the fact that you're that, like you said, that balance between like structured, but flexible, because you do have to definitely be that way. The freedom of being a entrepreneur, mompreneur, whatever word we choose to use, it's great to be able to choose to pick up your kids when you want to and that type of thing. We used to always have our kids in after school. And recently, well, actually after COVID, prior to COVID, we actually stopped doing after school because it just wasn't working for me. But after COVID, now my husband and I alternate picking them up. And that way, he and I, one of us are responsible for getting them to their after school activities or just getting them home to work on homework or whatever. But I love that flexibility because he and I work together. So we both are entrepreneurs, but we like that flexibility of being able to pick them up.
And it's a give and take, right? So I feel like people hear that and they're like, oh, you're so lucky you get to stop working at 3. Well, no, not exactly. Like I still have Slack open in the corner and my mind is not done working. And most nights I'm working after bedtime, at least, answering emails or like organizing myself. Or, if I wake up early in the morning and I'm not working out, then I'm probably looking at emails or, it's just, there's that flexibility, but it still is like an ongoing balance.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to acknowledge too.
Definitely. It's a constant. My business is in my mind constantly, though. I'm just like you. My kiddos are so important. And I know that it's a blessing for me to be able to do those things. But it's a constant thought of like, here's a marketing idea, or I can do this. I can do that. I have 100
tabs open in my brain at all times.
Exactly. How has it been to be a leader of this team?
Yeah. I feel like my personality has maybe not my personality, because I feel like that's inherent of who I am, but my skill sets and my strengths have really developed as a leader. I mentioned earlier, I'm a perfectionist, but I am equal parts perfectionist. And I love the Enneagram, by the way, again, another topic for another podcast, but I'm the perfectionist and I'm also the peacemaker. I inherently know this about myself, that I avoid conflict at every cost, right? So I don't want to give feedback to someone. I don't want to critique. And in the design world, that is a huge part of what we do is we're, evaluating designs and we're always tweaking them up until, the final hour of that design round. And managing a team is really difficult. And I feel like as a team of women, we're very blessed in that we're all pretty easygoing and we get along. We're all friends, but that also kind of makes it a little bit tougher too, that I had friendships established with most of my employees before hiring them, which is such a blessing because I inherently know and trust them. But at the same time, the lines between friend and boss are often blurred. And I'm okay with that, but it does, sometimes I have to remind myself I'm in charge and I have to give that feedback and I don't want to. Yeah, I've grown so much in being able to say what I really mean and give feedback in a way that is kind and gentle and encouraging, but to the point, because I feel like I used to just dance around that and I would please others and put their, comfort above what needed to get done, and not necessarily in this role, but just in my life in general. This is turning into like a therapy session about it. But yeah, I feel like, as a business owner, you have to be the one that is willing to pick up the slack where it's needed and all hands on deck, but you are the one that has to demonstrate that attitude and that working mindset first. And so just kind of putting myself in that position can feel uncomfortable, but my perfectionist tendencies are coming out a little bit more and allowing me to say, like, this is how we're going to do it, because at the end of the day, my name is on it. And
right.
I have to be the one that's responsible if something goes wrong. And yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough, but we don't have to have a lot of those moments very often, which is good.
That's really good. I can remember learning that as a young manager, entrepreneur, leader, I would often dance around things. I'm happy that you've learned it this early, because it took me several years to get to the point where I'm like, no, this is how it has to go. This is how it has to be, because my name is on it, sort of, but it's in order for it to work, in order for us to produce the best product, this is what we have to do. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I never was a mean person anyway, but it just didn't feel good to me. Yeah. And I had to get over that. Yeah. For me.
And I think, honestly, Sarah, my first employee, I think has helped me so much in that way, because she's not afraid of feedback. She welcomes it. She does so well when we're like, hey, I don't know about this aspect of, let's just say, like, for design, for example, like she has always told me, like, tell me what you really think about something. And she has that like directness and confidence in a way that has allowed me to have that. And so I think it's about, having that relationship with your team members that allows for that freedom to be who you really are and say what you really want to say. And it's just a comfortable environment. And I think I owe her a lot of credit for being my first employee and like setting up our team in that way, to where, like, yeah, this is all about, like, we all have the same goal at the end of the day. Yeah, we're going to be really open and honest with each other. And yeah, I feel like my team leads me in some ways, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and feedback is important. People want that. You make such a valid point with that, is people do actually want feedback. They want not only the praise, but they also want to know how they can be better.
Yeah.
And
totally.
That is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where else do you feel like you're learning leadership skills from? I know your team's helping you, but how else are you learning your leadership traits and skills?
This is a really cheesy answer, but my husband is also a really fantastic leader. It's very intuitive for him. And like I said, I don't think it's intuitive for me. Observing the way that he leads really well, I feel like I strive to be like him and his confidence in that. I wish I was a reader, because I feel like I would read more kind of leadership development books. And I love podcasts. I've loved listening to some of your encouragement, because you are definitely, further down the road in business ownership by a lot than I am. Like, you have this amazing experience that has, I feel like been very, very helpful to me as I've listened to your podcast. Yeah, I think it's about surrounding yourself with influences that allow you to be the best version of yourself, because I think being a leader is also about authenticity, right? So as a leader of my team, I'm able to say, like, hey guys, I'm not very good at XYZ. So we're going to figure out on our team how one of you can step into a leadership role with this aspect, or like, you're going to be the owner of this element of our processes. I think I'm like learning so much about being a leader from the people that I've surrounded myself with, both from a professional and personal standpoint. I think too, as a mom, as a new mom, you are trying on every hat, right? So you're saying like, okay, I'm this new mom. My whole world has gotten rocked. It's so different now. Like, what is my true identity? And so I think for me, it's been about figuring out where I fit into the puzzle of being a mom, being a business owner, and then also being my own person. Yeah, kind of like what I said, I feel like just living really authentically as myself is the way that I'm going to set myself up for success as a leader, that I don't feel like I have to fake it at all, that I get to lead my team as I am. And like, here I am, I'm learning too, I'm growing too, and we're going to do it together. And I don't feel like that was actually answering your question at all.
No, it did answer my question. And I think it's important to communicate that. There has been times where I have definitely stepped in front of my team, and I will say, this is hard. You mentioned payroll a few times, and that in itself can be very interesting, because as an entrepreneur, I don't know if you've hit these days yet, and I hope you never hit them, but there has been times in the past where I did not get paid because I was taking care of someone else, making sure my team was taken care of first, because I always want to make sure they're taken care of. But there's been times when I've had to step in front of them and just be very honest with where we are, because it does ebb and flow. Even to this day, 20 years in business, it's still an ebb and flow type of thing. I'm still learning as well. And I'm always learning and open and willing to learn.
Yes.
And I like audiobooks because I tend to fall asleep if I try to read. I like audiobooks because I can listen to them while I work out, and it's not, I'm not going to fall asleep while working out. That helps a lot.
Yeah, that's a good tip for sure.
Yeah. I always tell people too, you're right. The people you surround yourself with is so important, because when you have people who are uplifting and always kind of supporting you and giving you feedback too, then it gives you an opportunity to only get better. Right.
Totally. So, yeah.
Well, I'm super proud of you with your business. And I've looked at your work on Instagram. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous work. And you do have just like this natural eye to me.
Oh, thank you.
What are your plans for the next, let's say, couple of years with your business? Where do you want to see yourself?
Oh, goodness. I have changed my mind a lot in regard to where I would like to take the business. I feel like I've gone through ebbs and flows of, I want to have a big team. I want to work nationwide. I want to tackle, XYZ. And I think my most recent revelation, if I would call it that, is just that I really like the current team that we have. And I like operating in the somewhat lean way. So while, of course, I want my business to grow and develop, and I think especially too, I'm, right at like I have a 16-month-old, right at, I feel like the 18-month mark when you're postpartum is when your brain kind of comes back online and you feel like yourself again. And so I have said that this year, maybe next, I kind of want the year of just continuity, right? Like I just want things to be stable. I would like to not have another baby in the next 18 months. I just want to focus on who we currently are as a team and develop my team members to be, the most efficient, happy, joyful team that we can be. I think long term, again, this is maybe another topic for another podcast, but I'm really, really interested in real estate investment, and I love restoration and remodeling of homes and, bringing them back to life, those homes that have not been touched since the 60s. And in my current neighborhood where I live, there's lots of those and they're all being torn down, and it's so sad. One of my long-term goals is to have somewhat of a real estate, not development, but to do some more flipping of homes, if that's what we can call it. I don't like calling it that. Restoration of homes. I would love for that to be kind of a division of my business that we focus on, in addition to, of course, working with design clients. But some of that real estate, restoration, I think would be really, really fun. Yeah, to be completely honest with you, I have not looked much past the end of this year. I think, again, just because I need a year of stability and just, focusing on my current team, our current projects. And I think when you're a new business owner, you get shiny object syndrome where you're like, ooh, this. Like,
you get it when you're an old business owner too. You get it all the time.
And I have done that. And I want to maybe like put the blinders on and really like hunker down and build an amazing team and invest in the team members that I currently have because they're amazing. And yeah.
I don't know. You gave me kind of an idea though, when you said the 60s houses. I was like, oh, that would be amazing for you to do one and like videotape the whole process, basically create like your own YouTube show around it. And then take that and show people the possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, because I think people tear it down because they don't know the possibilities.
Definitely.
But if you can save some, and maybe it can be called like save the 60s house or something. I don't know, but just something.
I love that.
Because that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
But people don't know the possibilities, especially when they're looking at something and they're thinking, oh, this is so old and it's dated. But to take those bones, because the structure of it is way better quality than what you get today. And, just refurbishing and maybe doing some additions. Anyway, I don't know. I just saw a YouTube show for you. So
I love that. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that some more because I'm actually really bad at like social media is not my gift. And so our current home we remodeled last year and moved in, and it's a restoration. I think it's really sweet and it's a cute little hot ranch style house, but that would have been a great opportunity to document all this video. But I have good photos, but
I mean, you can make those a video, but no, I mean, that just introduces people to the possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, don't tear down this beautiful home. We can make it gorgeous for you. You know
I love that.
mean?
We totally can.
Yeah. Anyway, that just hit me when you were saying that, because there's so much character in those older homes that you don't really get today.
Yes. And there are some that I agree with. Maybe they are not going to be the best, restoration, but there are some homes that I just find to be so amazing. And it's really sad for me to see them.
Yeah. Charming,
Yeah.
So, well, Katie, this has been such a great conversation. Tell people, I know you're in Houston. Do you only work with people who are based in Houston? Have you stepped outside of that at all?
So we do work all over the country. We have a virtual design service where everything is done completely remote. It's amazing. Basically, you as the client are just in charge of measuring, documenting, and getting us all of that kind of onboarding information. And then, of course, when it comes to implementation, because our team is not there, you receive your designs, you essentially get the roadmap for what to do, and then you just purchase and implement. And our team is kind of on call to support you as needed. And then we do have full service design, which is our most involved service. And we do offer that remotely. It's, a little bit more involved because we would need to travel to you to make that happen, but it is definitely a possibility. And then we even have all the way down to just a 90-minute consultation. We have, you just hire us for 90 minutes. I have definitely done those on Zoom. We can do paint colors, remodel layout, furnishing, art. Like we can do so much virtually. I am grateful for COVID in that way, that so much is now possible via Zoom, and there's technology for, all kinds of things and how to, communicate information and documenting your space. So it is definitely possible.
Yeah. And I'll definitely make sure your website is in the show notes. And before I let you go, though, one of the things that you mentioned about having that continuity with your smaller team, I have gone from a team of like 19. And right now we're down to, I think it's a team of I say 6.5 of us, 6.5. But I really feel like we've hit a sweet spot because we still are bringing in the revenue numbers, but we've learned what works and what doesn't work. And we've gotten rid of a lot of the stuff that took up a lot of time that wasn't as revenue producing. And now I feel like even though our team is smaller, we're more efficient, we're more streamlined, we're better.
Totally. So, I feel like as a new business owner, you fall into the trap of chasing the numbers. So chasing the revenue goal, chasing the number of team members you have, and feeling like that is what measures your success. But it's less about how many people you have and more about the people that you have and investing in them.
Definitely.
And you can still take over the world with a team of 4. I'm convinced. Not that I want to anymore, but I think it's just more about investing in the right people versus adding 19 people to your team and not being able to manage that and effectively invest in all of those people.
Yeah, definitely. It has been a learning experience for me for
Yes.
sure. But yeah, this has been great. And
This has been so fun.
yes, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. I am so excited for your business that you fell into. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm excited as well. I pinch myself every day. I feel so blessed and lucky to be doing this work.
Yeah. And I can tell you're very passionate about it. So that's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Katie for sharing her story. I hope this serves as an inspiration for those of you still desiring to start and build your own business. Check in on yourself. Where do your passions truly lie? Thank you for listening today. I am grateful for you. Take a moment to subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast. Believe it or not, all 4 of those things are different. Subscribing to the podcast will allow you to always know when a new episode is released. Rating it, you can give us 5 stars. We'd love that. Reviewing allows you to write a very simple review about the podcast. What do you think? And to share it is really easy. Simply click the link and share it with a friend. Also, take a moment to join the Become Your Own Boss community by clicking the link in the show notes or simply visiting monicaallen.com. I have one last ask. I'm looking for 2 to 3 people who are in their very first year of business to interview for the podcast. If you're interested, please send me an email at monica@monicaallen.com. In the subject line, you can simply put, I am interested. I will send you a quick form to tell me a little bit about your business, and we will get something scheduled. Remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.